And welcome back, everybody, to another wrestling live stream. It's been a minute, not as long as the last hiatus we had with the wrestling discussions, but it's been a minute. And today we're talking a little bit of a different subject. We've done a lot of WWE videos, done a couple discussing people in AEW, discussing aspects of AEW, but this is like, I think, our first AEW, at least on my channel, the first AEW pay-per-view discussion. So I had watched it with some friends, and one of the people I watched it with was the guest today, my good friend Coltin, the guy. So welcome to the stream, and thank you for joining me today, man.
What up? What up? What up?
So how you been doing, man? On Sunday, I know it's like I usually take it easy on Sunday, just kind of kick back, relax. What did you get into today, man?
Nothing.
Yeah,
I did
same.
nothing.
Yeah. I pretty much just took it easy all day.
I fed the snakes, and that was about it.
Nice. Colton has like an insane snake collection right now. So yeah. It's good stuff
Uh,
though, man. It's cool.
yeah. Which one's ate? Sunny ate, and Malachi ate, and
Nice.
Rip didn't eat. Alistair didn't eat. Jack didn't eat.
You fed most of them recently though, haven't you?
Jack. I think because Jack's sick, he's not going to eat. But I think once when he gets his medication and everything, he'll be good to go.
Nice.
But yeah, if anyone's wondering what snakes I have majority ball pythons, and I have one Mexican black king snake.
Finally. I was like voting for you to get that king snake for like the longest time, man. I'm glad you finally got it. It's a nice, it's a beautiful snake.
He's a good eater too. He likes to hide. I might honestly, what I might do here soon is just get like big, like tub bins and just stick them in the tub bins and see how that handles. Because honestly, cages just they ain't that good.
Yeah.
Or if I can get another rack, I'm not sure yet.
How are they? How are they not that good though?
It's harder to clean, harder to do things. If you get like a rack system with tub bins, you can just pick the tub bins up and put the snake in another one and easily clean what you got to clean, or hold the snake if your snake is friendly. I have one that is very, very mean. It is the new one that I got. John will tell you when we went. He was like, she'll bite you and everything. I'm like, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah. Well, how many snakes are you at right now?
I have Malachi, which is the Mexican black cane snake. I have Jack, which is the normal ball python. I have Aries, which is a cinnamon ball python. I have Tristan, which is my spider ball python. I have Pac / Neville. He is my other normal. I have Cinnamon now, who is a pinstripe red stripe ball python. I have Sunny, who's an albino black stripe ball python. I have Ripley, who is a fancy ball python, and I have Alistair, who is a banana ball python.
Wow. Told y'all. He's got a really cool collection of snakes. So
And then one more at the end of this month, and probably done for a very long time.
I don't
know.
How have you adjusted to taking care of them and everything? Like, just you've done like a lot of research, looking into everything. They easy.
Yeah. Ball pythons and Mexican black king snakes are extremely, extremely easy. If you ever want a snake, I highly recommend a ball python or Mexican black king snake. They are, if you don't know snakes that much, get a Mexican black king snake because they like to burrow. So you can get like a little tank for them, or maybe even a 20-gallon tank if they're a baby. Just fill it with substrate, let it burrow, get it stuff to like go in like a hide and stuff to hide in, and just feed it, and they'll eat. Mine eating like a champ.
Nice, man.
I don't know. Oh, you're good. I don't know what I'll name my all white one yet. I might name her Snow because it's an ivory ball python, so she's gonna be gorgeous.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So
When you
with
gonna get that frog or scorpion?
Hey, I don't know. Eventually, man. It's not like those were more like if I were to get pets. I'm not really rushing to get pets right now. I'm not really rushing to get tattoos or anything right now. I'm just these are all things I was
Life.
interested in, but I'm like, I'll just wait. I'm not in no rush to get that stuff right now. That's all future stuff. But yeah, I'd love to get a scorpion or a frog, something chill and easy to take care of one day down the
Scorpion gonna
road.
be super chill. He just gonna sit there and be like, "Feed me."
Yeah, and I looked into it. Not only are they cheap, but they're also pretty easy to have. They eat insects, and they honestly prefer dark, more cold, I think, environments. I think they don't really require a whole lot of heat. So I looked into it, and the scorpion's probably like the best bet, and it's really cool looking. And I don't really know a
Um,
lot of people that get scorpions. I know a lot of people that get spiders and snakes and like all these other things, gerbils and
Centipedes.
hamsters. Huh?
I've seen people get centipedes and millipedes over scorpions.
Oh, screw
Scorpions,
that. Screw that. No way.
scorpions are the dark horse of like the. I don't want to say insect because they're not insects, but like invertebrate type creatures because like no one
Yeah.
really wants them. Either they want tarantulas or centipedes or millipedes and them things. I'm like, I'll take a scorpion. They chill.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like the other ones are definitely more popular, but
Yeah.
I think the scorpion too doesn't have a very long lifespan.
Neither do certain frogs. Like certain frogs I looked into, like they only live like 3 to 4 years.
Tarantulas live for a while, right? I
Think
think.
they think they can live up to 10, 15 years in
I was gonna
captivity.
say, yeah, like somewhere around 10
Yeah,
years is what I remember someone
I'm gonna
saying,
look real quick.
which is a pretty decent amount of time for like a small pet like that, or small when you first get it at least. It depends on what kind of uh breed you get. If you get a Goliath, you're going to be living with a goddamn
How you spell
Chihuahua
tarantula?
sized spider.
Mhm.
What is it?
Tarantula is TRAN.
TR.
Never mind, I found it.
Okay, I was like, I even forgot to spell it.
What?
Huh?
Tarantulas go up to 2 years without a meal.
Without a meal?
Yeah,
Wow. So you probably have to feed them a couple times a month, right?
yeah. In
Wow.
captivity, let's see, captivity, 10 years, and a female. Oh my God, a female can live past 30.
Mm.
So
Holy crap.
males may live as long as 10 years, and females may live past 30.
Yeah, there ain't no way I'd ever get a tarantula though, man, because
Nope, nope.
there's no. I hate
If
spiders. I don't
if
mind
that
snakes, but I hate spiders.
if God forbid if that happened, bro, if you got a tarantula and we were living together and it got out, I'd be freaking stepping on it.
I mean, I would never get that. At least with
Like
a scorpion, you could see it. It's just a little crawling thing, and yeah, it may have a stinger, but like
it
as
won't
long
kill
as
you.
you're careful with it,
Um, Mexican blacks can live up to 15 to 20 years. So he'll be with me for a while.
Nice.
And then ball pythons can live up to let me see.
They live for a while, right? 20, 30 years, 25 years.
Lifespan in captivity 20 years.
Okay. Yeah, that
The
sounds
biggest,
about right.
the longest was 28 years at a zoo.
Right.
Never mind. 28. The average lifespan of ball python captivity is 20 years. Report documents the maximum lifespan in captivity ranges from 28 years at the Oklahoma Zoo up to 50 years, reported by the Philadelphia Zoo. Average lifespan in the wild reports to be 10 years. It's weird. They live longer in captivity than in the wild.
Mm.
Like wild, they only live like the 10, 15 years. In captivity, they can live the 20 of freaking
Yeah,
40.
it's probably they don't have to worry about anything trying to kill them and eat them or
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
true. I love how we just went on our own little world talking about snakes and spiders. We
Oh
were
no,
supposed
no,
to talk.
it was a good intro to the stream, man. Like The snakes are cool. I'm glad that you got into that. I really think they got some nice colors. There's some cool there's just a lot of potential there, and we went to a really nice what would you call it? A snake show? It was
Yeah,
really cool.
reptiles,
Reptile show, right? They had
hmm
like lizards, they had a couple
frogs,
yeah, they had frogs,
tarantulas,
scorpions.
snakes.
Unfortunately, they had tarantulas, and some of those things were nasty. And I was like, ugh,
Some of them look good though, like
yeah.
that blue one, the bluish
Hmm.
purple one. That one was
Yeah,
great.
and I felt a little bad for like some of the more misfit animals there. Like they had a lot of Google eyes and spider,
Yeah, I
breeds, and I'm
told you.
like,
Yeah,
I
there
feel
was a
so
snake.
bad. I want
There was a snake.
to.
There was a snake. I kid you not. That had looked like them freaking little Google eyes you can just put on stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It looked like his eyeballs. I was like, that
I
poor
felt so
thing.
bad for him. I'm like,
I was
dang
like,
man, if it was a little cheaper, I'd take care of him. Someone's
I
got to
take.
take care of him.
Someone gotta take care of the Google eye, boy. I'll take
Right,
care of
right.
it.
But to
Another
get
quick
in,
thing.
okay.
I wanted to like address this on your stream because like
Uh-huh.
if we're gonna talk about like snakes and everything, I wanted to get your opinion on this because you did the research. We've both done the research on it, and
Hmm.
the community, at least the ball python community, does not like it. What is your thoughts on the spider gene?
Um. So while I can understand the fact that you're taking a breed, and I've researched it enough. Now apparently some people say that they were already a breed. Some people say they were made by man. Some people say they were already a breed and they were manipulated by man as far as genetics go. Um, for me, as long as the animal isn't displaying severe symptoms of anything like that, I think it's fine. It's a different breed as long as they can still live and eat and move around okay. And I mean, that's not uncommon. I really don't understand why there's such a hatred towards it in the snake community. I mean, there's a reason there, and I understand it to a degree, but people that breed dogs do that. People that breed other animals, they do these specific breeds that are very bad for their health, but they do it for the look of of the animal and everything. I almost said the creature. But the look of whether it's the color, whether it's just the way that they want the height to be, or the way the face looks. So it's very common. So if we're gonna go after the spider breed, we're gonna have to go after pugs and all these other
Go
breeds
after
out there.
everything.
Yeah, because there's a lot of mixed breeding, there's a lot of crossbreeding, there's a lot of genetic manipulation in a way.
Yeah,
So
because even the cinnamon morph has some issues apparently, but like it's not as talked about as the spider. And for anyone who's wanting to know about this, I will actually grab my spider so you guys can see.
really nice color. But yeah, I'm understanding of why people say that stuff. They're looking out for the animals. They don't want animals to be born in possible pain or to be having genetic issues, brain issues, any of that stuff. But at the same time, the most that'll happen from the spider breed is the wobble, and they'll sometimes struggle when they're upside down. They're still able to eat and everything. From what I know of it, I'm not a huge expert on that, but yeah, this is the spider that Colt has.
This is the spider I have. This is my big girl, Tristan, and
Very friendly.
very good. She was a programmed ball python that I got. And she has that spider gene, but as you can see, she don't wobble.
Nope.
The only time they really wobble is if they're stressed. And if you purposely stress them out. Like she's calm. I mean, I've seen her wobble, I think, twice. That was about it. And it was my fault because I think I woke her up and I put her around my neck and she was like, I don't like this. But they'll always have it, but she's a good girl.
Some spiders don't have the wobble, right?
Some, it just depends. Honestly, it just honestly depends. Um, Oh, you want to give me a kiss? I don't want a kiss. It just depends on how bad it is. Like hers isn't bad in my opinion. Like she has it, but not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like that to me is like as long as there's no severe damage being done to where the animal's suffering or anything like that. Like I look at it as it's another breed. I know they're working on it to try and break that wobble. I'm not sure that's ever gonna happen. We'll see. I mean, I know a lot of people are working on that, and I know people hate them for that too because they're like, don't try to do more of them, because then you're gonna breed more of the spiders. It's like, well, they're trying to break the wobble out of the breed. So it depends on how you look at it. They're trying to get that trait out of there.
And the people who like these snakes, they like them because of this pattern. Because if you see, it looks like a spider web.
Mm-hmm. Very
It's
different from the other pythons.
Yeah, if I were to get, I mean, if I were to get Jack, no, I'm not gonna get Jack out because he's sick. If I were to get Pock / Neville out, he's a normal. I'm not gonna get Cinnamon out because she's still getting.
None of them are shedding yet, are they?
My Mexican Black King just shedded, and Aries is shedding still.
Okay, so you got to be careful handling Aries, right?
Yeah, you can't really. I'm not gonna take Aries out. I'm gonna wait till he's done, and then I'll be able to take him out and feed him.
Do they get like more aggressive when they start shedding?
They don't. It just depends on the snake. They can get super aggressive. They can just be chill. It's just the way I've researched it. Just don't really mess with them when they're shedding. It can mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
And like the only time you really should you can handle them, but it's not recommended. Because imagine you shed your skin once every couple weeks or months, and someone just keeps poking you, and you're like, bruh, leave me alone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you're basically just bothering the snake. Also, just to give a little shout out real quick to All Star Extreme Wrestling, as we are speaking, premiering Pride or Pain 4. So big shout out to that. We've worked very, very hard to get that last season done. I wanted to plug it real quick because I just seen the notification. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's happening right now. If you guys can catch the replay of that sometime later, or if you want to join them over there and watch it, whatever you guys want to do, we appreciate your guys' support with AEW, and it's a lot of fun. Last year, which we filmed, the season that y'all are seeing is a little delayed. We filmed it last year, and it was a very, very, very challenging year of filming to pull off. I mean, I don't even know, Colt, do you know the last time it's been that difficult to film? I mean, just weather, personal stuff, all kinds of issues with trampolines breaking. I mean, we just did not have anything on our side. Batteries dying, memories getting deleted.
Yeah. I would say the one season where we were just constantly just going. I'd say that was a tough one.
Oh yeah, that one was hard too. We filmed at least 9 or 8 pay-per-views that year. It was a lot. But yeah, so to get into today, speaking of wrestling, to get into today's video, we are going to be talking about AEW's most recent pay-per-view, World's End, which was last weekend. And I want to say it was on Saturday we watched it. And we're going to be getting into our thoughts on the pay-per-view, sort of go through that match by match and talk about the show as a whole, what we think about it, sort of how we do the WWE videos are going to be just similar to how we do this. And at the end of that, we're going to be discussing sort of our overall thoughts on AEW as a show, as a brand, where it's been, where it's going, where is it? Where do we see it going in the future, and what we think should happen with AEW. But to get into this, we're going to be starting with the 0 Hour show, which that's their pre-show, I'm assuming. Which Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander, of course, former TBS champion Chris Statlander,
I didn't want that.
I was gonna say it wasn't really a match that any of us were interested in that much. I wouldn't say it was a horrible match or anything. It was just these are pre-show matches, no build, thrown together at the last moment, and I would say that this is definitely one of the more. I'd give it like if I out of 5, I would give it a 3 or a 2. 3 is being generous. It wasn't bad. It was just no build. It wasn't a long match. It kind of had some botches here and there. I didn't really think it was that great. But do you have anything notable about this match?
No.
Yeah, we really weren't into it. I mean, it wasn't really a match that I thought was too great, to me at least. Of course, Willow Nightingale picked up the win against Chris Statlander, which I was very confused on. Yeah, very confused on. Because they built Chris Statlander. She beat Jade Cargill in very fast amount of time, like 2 or 3 minutes. And so it's weird that Chris Statlander would be kicked out of that championship run, and then now she's just struggling on pre-shows. But so we had that match, and then we had a fun 20-man battle royal. The winner of this match would later on get a number 1 contendership shot at any time, anywhere, any place for the TNT Championship, which did play into some storylines later on, which we'll get to. But the winner of this was Killswitch. And Cole, what was your thoughts on this pre-show battle royal?
Should have been Lance Archer.
I am fine with Killshot. I would have loved, obviously, if Lance Archer won it. There was a few people in there who I wanted to win it. I thought it was fun. It was a fun battle royal. I mean, it had its moments for a pre-show match. It was definitely remarkable, and I thought it was fun. I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna do these grades. Are we gonna do them like 1 out of 5? Like, are we doing out of 5, out of 10? I don't really. Out of 5, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. It was fun. I wasn't mad that Killswitch won. I was just like, should have been Lance Archer.
Yeah, we finally seen Lance Archer. It seems like sometimes he emerges from the grave or whatever, emerges from freaking oblivion or something to come and do a match, and we're like, oh my god, he's still employed. Yes, and he lost, damn it. And then he's back into obscurity because he wasn't on Dynamite. I don't know if he's on any other shows, but he wasn't on Dynamite. To get out of the pre-show finally, though, this is the last match of the pre-show. We got Hook versus Wheeler Yuta for the FTW Championship.
Never have Wheeler Yuta speak on a mic again.
That's true. It was a pretty weak promo to start the match. I don't even know why he did that. He wasted so much time doing a promo, trying to be a heel, I guess. I don't even know why they did that. I'm like, you're at the end of your pre-show. They had like 8 minutes to do this match, and he was just talking and talking and talking. I'm like, why is he speaking? Like, let's get to this match, you know?
Why are you here?
We had Hook versus Wheeler Yuta, FTW match. I'm assuming that means there's no rules, there's no disqualifications. So we had, trash cans and lids being brung in. We had kendo sticks. We had a little bit of a appetizer hardcore match to start off here, and of course, Hook defeats Wheeler Yuta, becomes the FTW champion again, which it feels like he's kind of being stuck in this league. I don't know what they're going to really do with the FTW championship moving forward. But I thought this was a pretty fun match. Excuse my voice crack there, but it was a fun match. It was okay. Again, pre-show, I'm not expecting any masterpieces because they had 8 minutes to do a hardcore match. I mean, that's nothing. But and plus that 8 minutes was Wheeler Yuta speaking a whole lot. But I thought it was decent. It was a decent way to end your pre-show.
Yeah, it was good. I gave it probably what would you get? I think you get you give it a 3.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, it was a good little hardcore match. 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I felt bad because they had to pull that rabbit out of the hat somehow with 8 minutes to do a hardcore match, and you could tell they were really trying to rush it. But they did pretty good. They did good. And it's important that they did that because it shows that under pressure they can still do a match, which is really good for wrestling.
I see your head back there.
What's that? Oh, this. Oh, he's just sneaking up on you.
I seen his head out of the corner of the camera, and I was like, "I see your head. Don't try anything stupid. I can see it."
And to get into our first match, at least the first match on here that they have listed, is the 8-man tag match. We got Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Mark Briscoe, Daniel Garcia versus Brody King, Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh. I thought this was a pretty good match. Again, I'm not a fan of AEW. They have this mindset of we've used all these guys on Dynamite and Collision and Rampage or whatever. We don't have room for them on the pay-per-view, so we're going to throw them all together into one match. And I don't get why they always do that. It happens every pay-per-view. There's always a 6-man match or a 8-man match, or there's a giant battle royal. You know, they got to find some way to put all these guys. There's all of these guys in this match were involved in some big moments on Dynamite and Collision leading up to this pay-per-view. So I liked the match. It was really good. A lot of good moments, good wrestling. I think wrestling-wise, it was on point. Not much of a story. It's not one of those matches that you go into for a story, but you do got Brody. You got Brody King in there. You got Claudio Castagnoli in there. You got Danielson. I mean, these guys are all going to give you a good match. I'm a big fan of Rouge. Yeah, Jay Lethal. I mean, it's a good lineup for if they were to do a multi-man match. I mean, they did the best they could. It was pretty damn good. I give it a 4 out of 5. Good match. It was just I'm not a huge fan of when they do these kind of matches because it just feels like they had nothing to do with them and they just we'll put them together and put them in a big rivalry or not even a rivalry. There was no build up to this, so it was just a bit random. But what was your thoughts on it?
It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a good little, like you said, 8-man match. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. And the reason why is because it just had no build, no storyline.
Yeah.
I'm one of them people who, if I'm gonna watch a wrestling event, whether it's WWE, TNA, anything, AEW, anything, if there's matches on there that don't have any build, anything I could care less about, then if it's still good, I'll give it props. But if it's just thrown together like they do a lot, I just don't care for it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
Like, it was a good match. It was a good little high-flying spot fest match, and I was enjoying it, but I'm just like, there's no build. There's no storyline. Like, where's the story?
Exactly. Yeah, I think the only reason I gave it a 4 is because of the people in the match. I think if you would have traded these guys out with other people from the roster, it would have been a 3. Like, they definitely pulled this one off somehow because there's been other pay-per-views I've seen with multi-man matches where I'm like, 2 out of 5, 2.5, or a 3. Like, just they always do it. They always just run out of room for guys, and then they just put them all in a big match. And I hate it because, like, that kind of match is so hard to follow because you got guys battling over here, guys battling over here, people fighting in the ring. Then if they have managers, you got managers fighting in the background. So it's a whole lot of trying to watch for whatever's going on. But I definitely agree with you, man. Next matchup here was a really good one. It was Miro versus Andrade, and this is Andrade's last match in AEW. And Andrade and Miro both had fantastic matches leading up to this pay-per-view. I thought both guys just were having these insane, really well done wrestling matches and were some of my favorite parts of Dynamite leading up to this show. And Andrade and Miro didn't disappoint, man. Of course, Andrade, he's no longer in AEW. Will we see him in the Rumble? Will we see him in TNA, New Japan? We have no clue. But I think it was best for him to move on because if they did do storylines with Andrade, they weren't that good. He just didn't. He did a great job. AEW just didn't do their part of the bargain. They just really didn't give him anything to do. Nothing, you know. Miro's a bit better because at least they gave him the TNT title. They gave him a good run with that. They've given him some good big moments. But
He
Adrani
had a
definitely.
he
What's
had a
that?
great TNT run. I don't know why
Hmm.
they pulled the trigger on that like as soon as they did.
Yeah. And either guy I could see becoming the international champion, which I don't think that match is on this. I don't think there's an international title match on
Mhm.
this. Which, how do you feel about that title? Because Orange Cassidy has held that title hostage for, at this point, I think over a year. And it's ridiculous. There's so many other people they could have gotten. Both these guys could have had reigns in that time, but they didn't give it to these guys.
The fact that Orange Cassidy has it just irks me. I don't care for his gimmick. It's the same thing. I'm going to make people mad. I don't care for Danhausen's character. I don't care for Orange Cassidy's character. I like Danhausen 100 times better than Orange Cassidy, but
Mm-hmm.
Orange Cassidy just I can't stand that gimmick. I've always hated the gimmick, even before. I am so sorry. I just smacked you in the face. Even
Oh, it's
even
okay.
before he was in AEW and he was in the Indies doing it, I hated it. I was like, this is the stupidest thing. Why is he getting cheered?
Yeah, wonder what they're thinking with Orange Cassidy, because they've had him have this title for so long now, and I kind of wonder what their plan is with him.
I think the plan was to give it to Mox and have him have a good reign with it, but then he got a concussion. And then Ray Phoenix got it, and then I think Ray Phoenix did he drop it to Orange Cassidy?
Yeah, Orange Cassidy beat him back. It was sort of a weird little transaction, and I don't even know why Moxley beat Cassidy, because now Moxley isn't going after any titles. So it's like, what are they doing with this
Well, he was.
championship?
In another match later down the line, he was.
Yeah, yeah. He might be now. I could see him going for a rematch too. We'll see.
But yeah, it was just I don't care for Cassidy at all. I've never have and I never will. If he would have dropped the gimmick, I'd like him because he can wrestle. He's a phenomenal wrestler, but I just hate
Mhm.
his gimmick. It's like
It's
there's a lot
weird,
of
man.
yeah.
It's just weird that they're building him up like he's got to be this undefeatable champion, and I'm like, dude, it doesn't really fit his character, and he should have moved on from that championship after Moxley beat him. That was the perfect ending, because that was like Moxley versus Orange Cassidy 2, I think, and then they had 3, or they had 2 after that. I don't know. They faced before, and just the way they ended that match with Moxley beating Orange Cassidy, it felt like that was the time for them to go, okay, let's either move him up or move him down. Let's have him move somewhere. And then no, like Orange Cassidy goes back after him, goes back after the international championship and wins it again. And I'm like, what was the point of all of that? This was a bit pointless. Yeah, I don't know
Like
what
I
they're
said,
doing with Orange Cassidy.
I feel like they were gonna let Moxley have a good run with it, but then Moxley got the concussion and then Ray
Uh,
Phoenix beat him. So they were just like, give it back to Orange Cassidy because why not? It's just like, ugh, why?
yeah, and I just don't know why. I also don't know why Moxley continued to wrestle after that concussion.
I don't think he did. They told him to stop.
How long did he take time off for that? A couple weeks?
I think maybe like I would say either a couple weeks or like maximum a month.
Okay, at least I gave him some time off, because I wasn't watching at that time. I recently just started watching Dynamite and stuff, so I wasn't sure if like he was wrestling after that or not. I really didn't think he should have.
I
So I'm
don't think
glad he
he
didn't.
was because he got the concussion and they were like, okay, you got to chill for a little bit. And he chilled and he came back and
What's
everything's
up,
fine.
Gabe?
Gabe.
So, what's your thoughts on Andrade versus Miro overall to get into this match and sort of give our final thoughts on it? What did you think about Andrade versus Miro? I thought it was a fantastic match.
It was good. I definitely gave it the first 4.
Mm-hmm.
The story was there. The draw was there. Their match didn't disappoint. It wasn't a 5-star classic, but it was still amazing what they could do. And it just shows why I think Miro and Andrade should go back to WWE and Triple H should book them as mid-carders and then eventually world champions.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot of potential there for both guys.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. So we both gave that a 4 out of 5. Good match. We got Tony Storm versus Riho for the AEW Women's Championship.
Another
What
match.
is your thoughts on this?
Another match we really didn't care for.
Yeah, and what's crazy is they gave this a lot of build. Like this
Mm-hmm.
was a big focus of Dynamite leading up to this pay-per-view, and I really could care less. I personally not a big fan of Riho. She didn't do good promo stuff, which is, I get it. She doesn't speak English, maybe I don't know. I don't remember even if she did good cutting promos at all. I don't know. I can't even remember if she cut a promo. I just the character, and you could just tell that her and Tony Storm didn't have a lot of chemistry, and it just wasn't clicking. Tony Storm was good. I like Tony Storm. She's the best part of the women's division right now. I love other
She's the
people in
best
that
part.
too. Yeah, she's great. She's fantastic. I love this character. This is the Orange Cassidy run that we need, where she's holding it for over a year. But Orange Cassidy, I'm like, why? Like, there's no reason for that. But this, I understand. She's the women's champion. Finally, we get a women's champion that just makes it believable, embraces it, and just is really representing big time. And I'm not a big fan of Riho. They did build it up, but the storyline wasn't that good. It basically, the whole storyline was, oh, Riho was the first women's champion. That's it. And maybe a few interferences here and there by Tony Storm and her sidekick. And that's the storyline. So I was like, number one, not a big fan of Riho. Number two, not a big fan of the storyline. Number three, the match was mid. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5, unfortunately. I know it's really low, but I didn't care for
Tony was the best thing.
Yeah, Tony was the only reason why I has a 2. Sadly, I was like, okay, I'd never seen Riho wrestle. I want to see what this girl can do. And I watched her for like 3 weeks building up to this show. And I was just like, I'm not impressed, man. Sadly, not impressed. What would you give it, though? Same thing, 2 out of 5, or would you give it a 3? You going to be Mr. Generous here?
I'll give it a 2.5.
Okay. Nice,
The match I thought was decent. The only thing I didn't care for was Rio's really bad 619 and splash. Like, that was terrible.
Yeah. Oh man, the 619.
Like, it was just bad. But I don't hate Rio. I don't dislike her. I think she's a very talented wrestler. And my boy, you got me in a freaking hold here. She's a good wrestler. It's just they need to repackage her. It's like, oh, I'm the tiniest wrestler. It's like, you're not. No one cares. You're not Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. And it was just like she was trying to do clotheslines and trying to do these tackles sometimes, and I'm like, I don't believe this at all. And then she went to go do a power slam or some kind of slam to Tony.
Well, yeah.
And she just kind of buckled. Yeah, she fell on her. Just like, no. Whatever's going on here, just no more, please. So yeah, Tony Storm versus Riho didn't really live up to what it could be, or I don't even know if really I'm just not a fan of the Riho character. So I don't really think this one was a hit. I think it was more of a miss. But moving on from that, we do got a little bit of a discussion point here. We got Swerve Strickland, who was already thrusted onto this card with no plans. So they said, hey, we'll give him Keith Lee. Even though that rivalry hasn't been around in a while, and even though there was no build to it or no reason for Keith Lee to even come back and challenge this man, so they announced Strickland versus Keith Lee right before the pay-per-view. And Then, of course, Keith Lee has injuries right now. He couldn't get cleared. And so not only did he get thrusted into a random match one time, he got thrusted into another random match with Dustin Rhodes.
Okay.
And what's your thoughts on this, man? This was a total miss potential here. We'll get into the match itself, but what do you think about this quote-unquote build-up to this match?
It was stupid. It was not needed. And then the fact that Keith Lee got hurt or injured or whatever. No diss to Keith. I love Keith. Keith, you need to come home. You need to come home to WWE right now. You need
Please.
to ditch this company because they don't know how to use you. Triple H knew how to use you, and Triple H will use you as the main event star. Number 2, why did you give him Dusty when you could have give him anyone else? You could have switched Jay White in that match, and we could have got Swerve versus Jay White.
Yeah.
We could have had Swerve go after the TNT title or the international title or something. But instead, you give him Dusty Rhodes. You make him look good with him attacking Dusty before the match and everything, but then you let Dusty get offense in.
Yeah.
Not a little offense, a lot of offense to where we thought Dustin was about to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
No, you should not do that. Number 3, if you have a bottle and a rocket, and WWE used to do this a lot, and it would make us angry, and AEW is doing it now, if you know this person is over, no matter who it is, put a rocket strap on them. Give them a mid-card title, and then let them build with that. After a while, give them the world title.
Mm.
It is not that difficult. It is not that hard. I don't know why people, or I should say Tony, thinks it's good to do this type of stuff because I'm sorry, but he's booking like Vince.
Yeah.
He's booking like Vince and acting like a spoiled fan that has money, which is not good.
Yeah, and he's acting like he's got just this lineup of reasons that he can do this and just be like, oh, it's still a great storyline, great match. Like, dude, there was no storyline and there was no build to any of that. And that's why I feel like the Continental Classic, while it was fun for what it was fun. There was some good matches in there. And I hate tournaments in AEW because they do them all the time. Literally, I swear to you, I want to find a year where they didn't do a tournament.
I swear. In our personal time, this man, if we talk about AEW, the first thing this man says is something with a tournament. And I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't stop.
Right, man, right. It just because it doesn't, man. Every time that I try to watch it or come back, there's either a TNT championship tournament or an AEW vacant championship tournament or this championship tournament or this tournament for number one contendership. And then they announced this one and it was a tournament, but they announced it with like 30-something matches in it. And I was like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? Like, Jesus, man.
I didn't know there was that many matches.
Oh, yeah. He even said, like, when Tony announced it, he's like, there's something like 36 matches in this. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go again.
Why?
And it was out of nowhere. It was just like, oh, yep, Continental Classic. Here you guys go. It's just like, but I will admit, Eddie Kingston, Roosh, Adrane, Muro, Brody King, just so many guys who came into this tournament and was like having great matches where I was like, okay, if I can get behind this because at least they have people in here that have chemistry. They all do great. And there is storylines in this tournament. There was a storyline of Kingston putting all his belts on the line and then being told that he was nothing but a bum and him going 0-3 and then somehow getting back into the bracket again. And you had Swerve in there who had a rivalry with John Moxley for a minute. And then you had Roosh who kind of was wanting to prove him what. Yeah, right? Funny how that worked. I was like, wow, they didn't pull that trigger where it's Strickland versus Moxley. That would have been a huge hit. But I don't know why I didn't do a triple threat. Swerve versus Kingston versus Moxley. I mean,
they just wanted Moxley in there. And, I don't understand why Swerve didn't just win the whole thing.
Yeah, because it would have made sense for Swerve to be in there too, because yeah, you could say Moxley and Kingston have that natural storyline because they have that history, but we've already seen that before. Let's do Swerve, who technically is supposed to be a heel, and then Kingston, who's a babyface. So it would make more sense. Moxley is not a babyface or a heel; he's a tweenie. So like, he can be a bad guy, he can be a good guy. But we've already seen Moxley versus Kingston before so many times. So like this would have been different. It would have been Strickland versus Kingston, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then it would have been like, oh, we don't know who we want to win because I want Strickland, but I want Kingston. And it would have been a really good storyline. But
Yep.
Instead we got this match, and I will say I thought it was a cool idea that Swerve came out angry and just attacked Dustin and nearly broke his ankle. That was all great. That was all perfect. That was what it should have been. I'm like, yes, thank you. That's perfect. That's how he should react, because he should be pissed off that he got slated back 2 times to like filler match, basically. And I agree with you, man. My problems came in to where Dustin starts coming back from that and walks back to the ring and has a babyface comeback. And I'm like, dude, why? There's no build to any of this.
This is the time where the heel needs to look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in my opinion, he didn't, because Dustin almost beat him. The broken leg almost.
I wrestled with a broken freaking ankle.
And I almost beat our top guy. I thought that was like, what are you doing? No, just have him attack Dustin and have it end there. You don't have to have a match. You can have it to where he attacks him, throws him, attacks him, puts him in the ring. If you want it to be a match, have him pin him there. But if you don't want to have a match, then just have it to where he attacks him and cuts a promo and talks right to the champion, like, hey, whoever's holding that belt, I'm coming after. You could have done something like that, if you really wanted to. They didn't do any of that. They just did it to where he beats Dustin, move on. My opinion, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 because there was some good wrestling in there, but again, missed potential. Sometimes didn't make sense. Dustin having a babyface comeback made no sense, and it wasn't what it should have been. It should have been a full-on assault by Swerve, but it ended up becoming just a regular match after a little while. So 2.5 out of 5 for me.
This is where you're gonna look at me and I'm like, crazy. I give it a 1.
Ooh, you really weren't a big fan of this, huh?
No, I was not, because Swerve is so red hot. You refuse to use him in something that could benefit him, yet you cripple him even more.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have fought Keith Lee, it would have been okay. They had the rivalry, they've had the past beef. Yeah, that would have been good. But then they throw Dusty in when it could have been anyone else. No disrespect to Dusty. No disrespect to you. But like, this would be something for like someone to get. This would be something for Swerve to get more momentum on if he beats a top babyface and gets more momentum. And yet you give him Dusty, who's just not really being used and stuff like that. And it was just like, why?
Yeah, and Dustin wasn't even on Dynamite, and maybe he was on Rampage occasionally, but that doesn't give him a right to just fight and make a babyface comeback. Like, no, Dustin should probably know in his mind, hey, this is the moment where I got to make Swerve look good. And it started out like that, and then it's like, I got to have a comeback, and then I got to have my moves. And I'm like, no, why are you doing that? It makes Swerve look bad, because why is he having a 10-minute match with a guy with a broken ankle, who hasn't been on TV? Yeah, just like, bothered me. What's that?
They're going to start running with that. I almost beat you with a broken freaking
ankle.
I
wouldn't be surprised if they drug out a 3-month feud with Swerve and Dustin just to do it. Just to be like, oh, we're doing it, guys. We are using Dustin. It's like, ugh.
So stupid.
Well, the fun doesn't stop there. We got a double dose of fun, because the next match is the 8-man tag match. Fucking goddamn 8-man tag match. And not only is it another 8-man
Oh
tag
no.
match, but they also threw this one together at last minute because fucking Omega got sick, which is unfortunate. But I hope he gets better and everything. But they did throw this together like last minute, and that is the man of the hour with no power and should not have Twitter, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Sting and Darby Allin. Sting and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Takashita. I always forget Kanoshiki Takashita. There we go. I was trying to remember how to pronounce his first name. This was not a very good match. And it was very hard to watch, and it was disastrous. And they've booked Chris Jericho for another match, Cole, and they're continuing to promote him. He's got to turn heel, or he's got to just get off TV because this was a disaster, man. I felt so bad for Sting and Darby, and even to a point Guevara, but even Guevara has a shady thing going on with him too, which I don't know if it's. I don't know I know it's old stuff, but it's just weird that they have Guevara and Jericho, a guy that currently has a lot of shady stuff, and a guy that has a bunch of shady stuff in the past. But yeah, I felt so bad for Darby and Sting because
Mainly Sting.
Oh, yeah, this is like one of his last matches. One of them.
And it was not good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Let's get into this. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Oh, man.
This was hard to watch.
I will say this pay-per-view carried the last three matches I would say carried this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Everything else with this pay-per-view, I could have cared less with, and I'm being straight up honest. So if you didn't know what was going on with Jericho, allegations came out saying he sexually assaulted Kylie Ray, and I'm not gonna believe anything until further stuff comes out because this has happened a lot in wrestling, and lately 9 times out of 10 the guy did nothing wrong. Perfect example, Nash Carter, dude from MSK. He was accused of beating his wife, and he did a Nazi symbol where he had like a Hitler stash. Was it appropriate? No. But we live in the day and age of the internet where, like, if you can't handle a joke, don't be on it.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's dating the red-haired chick in NXT, the chick who used to date Darby.
Yeah.
I'm like, the dude should still be in WWE. The dude should never lost his job. In fact, his ex-wife should have been. They should have fired her from TNA. She should have lost her job and everything in between.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing if this is with anyone confronting Jericho or saying Jericho did something when he didn't. If he did, the only one who knows is Kylie Ray or Kylie Love or whatever her name is, and Chris Jericho. And if she liked the tweet or loved the tweet, it says a lot. But again, innocence until proven guilty. I'm not buying it with the way that the world is today, with how we look at women as believe everything they say instead of, giving men a proper way to explain themselves. Because a lot of good men out there have been ruined due to false allegations.
Right.
The perfect one I can think of is Nash Carter. Another one I can think of was a Baylor football star. He was like 6'7". Dude had a future in the NFL. He got locked up in jail, I think, for 5 years, 6 years because of false allegations of rape. And then it came out that she lied about everything, and he got released, I think, in 2018 or 2019. And he lost like 5-6 years of his life he can't get back because a woman accused him of something, and she got away with it. It's something that needs to be checked on more. Whether it's true or not. If it's true, then what Jericho, if it's true, Jericho, you should feel like a human piece of garbage and you should lose your job and you should never
Yeah.
ever allowed to wrestle. If it is false, then Kylie Love or Kylie Ray, you need to be proved. You need to explain yourself on why you would love a tweet saying something like that.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it. You know, Chris Jericho was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Chris Jericho. I've been watching him ever since I was like, ever since I can remember the first wrestling thing ever. I swear Chris Jericho was involved in it somehow. So I've known about Chris Jericho all my life. I've been a fan all my life. I love his music. I love his podcast. I love his interviews. I love all that stuff. But yeah, Chris Jericho definitely is to blame for all of this happening because he tweeted out at Punk's lawyer and talking about how he didn't sign an NDA and how it's a disgrace or whatever. Basically getting involved in business that didn't concern him because reports said that Chris Jericho was outside in the hallway during the fight and he had nothing to do with the fight. So for some reason, Chris Jericho inserted himself into this thing. I don't understand why he did that, you know?
I didn't know he got involved with the Punk thing. I didn't hear about that. What exactly happened?
So on Twitter, what started all of this is he was on Twitter talking. He tweeted at CM Punk's lawyer and said, I didn't sign an NDA and this is BS. And I seen what actually happened that day, even though there were reports that said that Jericho didn't even see the fight, that he was in the hallway. So he basically got himself involved in the whole Punk thing when he didn't need to be. And then somebody came up and said, well, what about your NDAs? And people were all like, what NDAs? What are you talking about? What does he mean? And then Kylie Ray got brung up, and then the girl getting punched in the face got brung up, and then all this other stuff came out of the woodwork. And basically Chris Jericho should have minded his business, should have kept his mouth shut. He had no business to talk about the CM Punk fight. He was barely there. Even if he's seen a little bit of it, he wasn't one of the involved people. You know what I mean?
At this point, it's done. Move on. You know, it is what it is. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the fact that even Punk thrown a jab at it when he came back to Raw shows the maturity level of AEW and like their stance compared to Punk. And you know how I am with Punk.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows how much I am with Punk. But if that man can sit there and say what he said and you know everything happened, if everything happened that way, it shows a lot about Punk and it shows a lot of how immature Tony, Chris, the Elite all are.
Yeah.
And that's coming from someone who can't stand Punk, but I hate to say this, he's slowly turning me to like him.
Well, he's doing a lot better now than he was. Punk is definitely one of those things, though, where it's ironic with me and you because we're flip-flopped. You're at where I was in AEW, where I'm like, I'm going to give him a second chance. I'm going to give him that. Let's give him that time. He's back into it. Let's see it. And then you were like, bro, he turned his back on us. Like he was a liar.
Mm-hmm.
He did all this stuff, and it's flip-flopped because now I'm looking at it like, yeah, it's cool. He's back. And of course it was a historic moment. And of course I'm going to look forward to what he does. And of course I'm going to watch it. Of course I'm going to be interested in what Punk is doing because I see him Punk. And he is one of my favorite wrestlers, technically.
Fire.
But, yeah. What's up? What's up, Corey? How you doing? King Gore in the comments. What's up, man? But yeah, I think CM Punk is definitely one where I got to give it time because deja vu, lots of deja vu, lots of I've heard this before and I seen how we acted over there. And,
you know. I still don't like Punk. I still don't like him right now. But the fact is, he's starting to turn that wheel and make me go, maybe he wasn't all that bad. It's starting to concern me because I was like, oh, I can't stand this dude. He's a hypocrite, yada, yada. Now I'm like, I'm like, I don't like this because Cody did the exact same thing.
Yeah. And I ate my words with Cody because I was like, oh, he's selfish. He's this, he's that. And it's like, no, the real story came out and I was wrong. And obviously I misunderstood what was going on. I can admit that. And not a lot of people can. And I hope I'm wrong about Punk. I hope I am. That's the thing. I hope I'm wrong. Please prove me wrong, Punk. Please do not prove me right. Because if you prove me right, it's going to suck. Because there's going to be so many people disappointed. There's so many people that want to give him a second chance. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Go ahead. I'm just a lot more cautious about it because I'm like, yeah, I've heard this before.
I knew, I knew in AEW when he came back and he did the AEW thing, I was like, it's not going to end well. I had a feeling in the back of my head that he was not going to last because it's Punk. He likes things his way. He likes to talk. And if you don't listen, it aggravates him. And if you do this or do that, he doesn't like it. And he started showing his colors and he said all the stuff that he did. And then the backstage thing happened and it just kept getting worse and it kept getting worse. So they released him. And then everyone was like, okay, everything's kind of getting better. But the backstage morale was still low. Everything was still low. While WWE said, all right, we'll bring you in and we won't tell anyone and we'll get overall emotions from everyone. And we'll make storyline money out of this with him and Seth. Because Seth has said on numerous occasions he hates Punk. He would never work with Punk and all this. And it looks like they might work together. Whereas if this was AEW, they would make it seem like it's real life and it would turn into a real life street fight match, which no one would want to see.
Yeah, and I feel like WWE guys are a lot more mature than AEW guys because I will admit, yeah, Punk was immature for how he was the world champion, how he handled everything. But also, you got to think of who he's dealing with. You had guys like Jack Perry who thought they knew everything. You had guys like Hangman Page who thought they knew everything. You had guys like MJF who, at the time, thought he knew everything, and so he had to keep dump these guys over and over again who were cutting shoot promos on him that were going unscripted or going undiscussed and being like, yeah, I'm just going to go out there and roast Punk, or I'm going to go out there and he's got mad. He's like, I came here to wrestle, guys. I didn't come here for you guys to attack me. And I feel like WWE guys are a lot more professional than that. I see Seth looking at it as business, and there's evidence of that because he's done that with so many other guys that he doesn't like. Yeah, there's guys he hasn't liked. There's guys that, I think a lot of those people on that roster don't like, but they still wrestle them and they still have banger matches and they still have business. There's a difference between that. AEW's ran as like, oh, it's not business, it's friendship. And it's like, nah, it doesn't work like that. And it's not true because the Bucks doing that to Punk is shady. Kenny Omega doing it to Punk is shady. Those guys are your marketing team or whatever. Those guys are in charge of all of that, of who we push, who we don't push, creative, whatever you want to say. They're involved with some big deal stuff in AEW. And for them to try and basically get Punk to be booed, and they realized Punk was more popular than them. He was getting more reactions than them. He was getting more merch sales. And so they got, I think, jealous, and they were like, let me try to get Punk some rumors stirred up and see if we can damage his reputation a little bit, which is very dirty.
It also didn't help the fact that Dave Meltzer.
Oh, God. Yeah, Dave Meltzer.
Didn't help the situation.
Of course, Dave Meltzer knows everything about wrestling. He's the wrestling textbook. He's the guy that you go to talk about wrestling. Yeah, I don't know. Dave Meltzer, apparently, people freaking worship the ground he walks on for some reason. I don't get it at all. He's wrong half the time anyways about his, like, oh, my inside sources. You know, I don't get it.
I'll say this. It didn't help with Dave, Omega, Paige, Bucks, Tony not being good head ups with the whole Punk thing. And it's just, I don't know. We've talked a lot about the Punk thing. That can be like another video if we really want to.
Yeah. But it does all tie back to this match at World's End, the Chris Jericho match, because Jericho, you could tell that he was just folding from the pressure in this match. Everyone was, because we had a thing happen where the Don Callis family, some of the biggest heels of all time in AEW, the guys that get booed all the time, are getting cheered. And they're not used to that. They're not. This is a tag team where it's like, okay, this over here is the heels, this over here is the faces. And it flopped. It flip-flopped where they became the faces, and now Chris Jericho's team was getting booed. They weren't really booing Darby or Sting or any of that, but they were booing Sammy and Chris Jericho. And yeah, it just was a horrible match, man. I mean, just the wrestling was sloppy. They were missing a lot of spots. They were botching a lot. It was just, I felt bad for everybody else in the match besides Guevara and Jericho, because putting Guevara and Jericho, horrible idea, because Guevara has a bunch of past stuff that people are talking about, and Jericho now too. So what do? You put them together? It's like, what are you doing? That's a horrible idea. So you had a team that were getting booed because of Guevara and Jericho, mainly Jericho, and I felt so bad for Sting and Darby. I felt so bad for them. I felt so bad for all the other guys. It should have been a great match. Ended up being probably the worst match of the night, unfortunately. I'm going to give it like a 1 out of 5. It was a horrible match to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but to me it was pretty bad.
You gave it a what?
I gave it a 1. I thought it was pretty bad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It got a 1 from me. No generosity from me. I want to give it a 2 just for Sting, you know?
I'm giving it a 2 just for Sting.
I'll bump it up. I'll give it a 2 just for Sting and Darby. They did the best they could, man. I'll give them credit, you know.
I'll do a 2 because of Sting, because I feel bad for my boy Sting.
Moving on from that, we started sort of having an uphill with the pay-per-view. We got Julia Hart versus Abaddon, which I thought was a pretty decent match. Again, they had a little bit of build-up. Not a big storyline with this match, but as a wrestling match, it was pretty good. I like Abaddon. I like Julia Hart. Not really familiar with her, but yeah, at first I was kind of bored with it, but as the match went along, it got a bit better. I won't say it was like one of my favorite matches, but it was a decent follow-up. It definitely was better than the last match, and I thought it was decent for a TBS championship match. You know, I'm not super familiar with Abaddon or Julia Hart, but it was a pretty decent match for what it was. Thought it was okay. I'd give it like a 3 out of 5.
Man, I'll be honest. I wanted this to be good. I was hoping it'd be good, but I couldn't get into it. I'm a huge fan of Abaddon. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm. Abaddon.
Abaddon.
That's her name.
Abaddon. And
Julia Hart's on fire right now, man. People are loving Julia Hart.
It was just hard, and I don't know. I didn't really care for it. I didn't care for. I don't know how I sound. I don't know how to make this sound, because either way, I feel like I'm just gonna be like crapping on both of them. It just didn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like both of them, like the match type just didn't fit.
You had a dark character versus a dark character.
Yeah, it just didn't fit, and I was like, I don't know.
And they tried to make Abaddon a baby face, and I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. And what's weird is they had a decent build-up for it. I mean, they were on Dynamite, and excuse me, I had to sneeze.
I was like, I think we lost them.
I didn't want to sneeze right into the microphone.
Emergency mute.
But it was on Dynamite. It had some build, but I didn't really care for the build that much. I didn't really think the storyline was very strong. But as a wrestling match, it was decent. It was a decent little match.
What are you giving it?
I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was harmless.
Oh man, I'm gonna sound such like a terrible person, but I'm giving it a 1.
Oh, you gave it a lower rating than the Sting match? Sting and Darby Allin, Chris Jericho and Guevara versus the other dudes?
The only reason why
Wow.
is because it was just because if Sting wasn't involved in that match would have got a 0.
I agree, man. I almost did give it a 1.
I just didn't care for this match. Like it was just, I was watching it. I was just looking at you and Hunter because we were watching. I was just like, I'm not into it. I tried. I was like, it's like that sad thing where like you try so hard to get into something. It's just like it ain't working.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, man. I mean, it was just, it didn't really have that good of a build up. I think it was 2 dark characters that just they had to find a face in there somewhere, which I figured it would be Julia Hart be the face, but they're making her the heel, even though she's being cheered right now, so it makes no sense. But yeah, apparently Julia Hart's a heel. Like, yeah, Julia Hart's totally a heel. You guys are making me buy that 100%. But yeah, to move on from that, though, we have a fucking banger match that had no right to be this damn good and proves that these guys are freaking legends in this business to be that at this age, pulling off this amazing of a match. And it's the no disqualification TNT Championship match. We got Christian Cage, Adam Copeland, the feud of the month, you could say, feud of just a top tier feud. And it's really cool because it ties all the way back to Edge's debut into AEW and just him showing up. I believe was it Wrestle Dream he showed up? I can't remember. And it's been just on Dynamite, on Collision, Dynamite, Collision. It's been going on and on and on. Definitely some of the best build up in AEW for a long while. This is definitely like the Julia Hart match sent the pay-per-view in sort of an upswing a little bit. It was better than the other one. This one was like, whoom, like this was a great match, amazing. The first 5 out of 5 for me. I thought it was a great, fantastic match with a cool, smart, emotional ending. Edge, Adam Copeland pulled it off. Christian Cage pulled it off. I love the outside interference with his new wife in a way or whatever, and her son Nick Wayne helping out Christian Cage, them fighting outside in the crowd, them going through tables, them getting sunset flipped over the ladder and being thrown everywhere. It was fun, man. Yeah, the table fire botch. Yeah, it was botched.
That was a funny botch.
It was funny, and it was still cool that we had flaming tables in there, man. And
I wish you would have speared the kid.
Yeah, it was bloody. It was brutal. Christian Cage, I was just watching Dynamite earlier today. He had like stitches all over his face from that match. You could just tell it was a hard-hitting match.
Christian is in a different element right now.
Amazing heel. Amazing. What would you think, man? I gave it a 5 out of 5. I know I hyped it, but I had to. I loved this match. It was great.
I'll give it a 4.5. It wasn't a 5-star for me. It could have been if we got a better if the flaming table spot was better, and if like a couple things was just it felt like better, because there was a couple botches, there was a couple things that just was like, oh, why is he bleeding? Like when Edge got busted open, it was like, how did he get busted open? I was like, oh, the can, because he smashed a can on his head. Yeah, and I was like, but okay. It was just there were certain things like it was an amazing hardcore match. I will say that was one of their best matches. And at the end, the Weasel himself gets the title back Oh my gosh, that was one of the most brilliant things. I'm surprised WWE has not done that. The fact that he made Kill Shot or Kill Switch. Is it Kill Switch or Kill Shot?
Kill switch.
Kill Switch. It should have been Kill Shot. Kill Switch. Give him the contract and have Kill Switch do all the work, and he just comes and goes, "Hey, look, give me the contract. I'm gonna sign it." Signs it and then pin Edge. I'm like, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way.
It was the perfect way for heel Christian Cage to end that match.
God, bro.
It was perfect.
Christian deserves so much. I don't care, man. I don't care. Give this man everything.
Easily the best TNT champion so far. Yes. Been a lot of them, but I know Miro, I know Cody Rhodes, I know Darby Allin and Malachi and everything, but this dude's on a whole.
Malachi never had it.
Never held it? Wow, I'm surprised. Nope. Well,
he hasn't had a singles match at all. His last singles match was against Cody.
Oh my God, that was so long ago.
Yeah, he's been in tag team matches nonstop.
And he's been there for a while, and that's he just stuck. He's just stuck. They don't have anything else for him to do, which is sad. There's so much more that Malachi or AKA Aleister Black can do, I definitely want Aleister to come back. I want Neville to come back, and I want Aleister to come back. Those are two guys that need to come back to WWE.
Come home.
But yeah, very good. Very, very, very good match. Was an upswing for sure for this pay-per-view. And then that got followed with a really excellent Eddie Kingston versus Moxley Continental Classic Championship match for the finals. The storyline was there. The emotion was there. Eddie Kingston and Moxley, while it did end very fast, I have an argument for people that say it ended too fast. I liked the way that it ended because it was a very strike-based match. It was a hard-hitting, strike-based, heavy-hitting fight between Moxley and Kingston. And so for me, it made sense. It didn't go on for...
My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't know Kingston's finisher was a spinning backhand.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I seen it happen a couple times where he was beating people with it, but it's a very unique finisher, and it kind of made sense that him and Moxley, they're swinging, they're just heavy hits. That would not go on for 30 minutes. It would end in like 10, 15 minutes. So I thought it was cool that it ended with technically a knockout blow to Moxley. And I thought it was still brutal. Again, heavy hitting, lots of just kind of moves and just brutal moments. And it just was a solid match. And I don't even think Moxley bled in this match. I don't even know if he did or not. I don't think he did.
I don't think he did, which is goddamn surprising.
It was a good, heartfelt moment because I've been behind Eddie Kingston ever since he went to AEW. I didn't know anything about the guy until he went to AEW and just his promos. And I always thought Kingston had that it factor, man.
One of the best promo cutters in recent history, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Cut some of the most intense, heartfelt, just emotional and passionate promos you can hear. He's an old school brawler style. He's very different from all the other guys who are doing super kicks and enziguris and flying everywhere. He's very grounded, but he can also fly if he wants to. He can do top rope stuff, but he's mainly a striker-based guy. I thought it was a good match. It's Kingston and Moxley, they're not going to disappoint. They have a good natural storyline there, and I thought it was very, very emotional, and I liked the build-up. That was
the first time Kingston beat Mox, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's a lot of history in this match, and a lot of history because not only with all that stuff, but also for the Continental Classic, which had been happening all month long to get to this point. And there was 3 belts on the line. There was the Continental Classic finals on the line. There was the history on the line. And it was just a boiling pot of pressure. And it just finally just exploded into this awesome result of Eddie Kingston winning and getting the gold, getting 3 belts. 3 belts. Eddie Kingston is now a Triple Crown champion, which is amazing. I thought it was an amazing match. Again, another. I would give it like a. I give it like a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5. I think I'd give it a 5 out of 5. I can't really think of too many problems with it. I thought it was great.
I'll give it. I want to give it a 5, but like I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a 5 because that was my type of match. That was like hard hitting, good striking, stuff that I like to watch. It was good. I enjoyed it. The story was there. Everything was there. There was like no. The only thing I didn't like was Danielson just meat riding Mox the whole time.
Yeah,
that was the only annoying thing about it. But I get it because that's his guy.
Yeah, they're in that like faction, I think, together, right?
Yeah,
the Combat Club.
Yeah. So I get it, but like I was just like, quit fucking meat writing this man. Like, geesh. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of hearing it.
Isn't Moxley a legend? It's like, God damn it. I've heard you say it like 5 times now.
You said it like 80 times. But yeah, it was a very good match. I enjoyed it. I was glad Kingston won, not Eddie. I mean, not Eddie, not Mox. That match, if Mox would have won, it would have soured everything, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I don't think, sadly, anybody wanted Mox to win because Mox has been winning a lot of stuff recently, and there's really not a reason to give it to Mox. He's been doing great. He's been world champion. Like he wins a whole lot. He did amazing in the tournament. It was just time for Eddie Kingston to get a little bit of a push there. So I'm glad he was able to.
It was time for Kingston.
Yeah, definitely. And he has a match coming up, or I guess it already happened. Keep forgetting as I'm watching Dynamite, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Collision." I'm like, "Oh, that already happened." But Eddie Kingston faced what's his name? One of the guys from Best Friends. I forgot his name. Trent
Beretta?
I think it's Trent Beretta from Best Friends. He faced Kingston for the championship on Collision, which was pretty cool. So they already had him defend it, which is pretty cool.
That's good. I will say this. I think the Triple Crown belt is ugly.
Very controversial opinion. I personally disagree. I dig it, man. I dig because it's not going to have a globe on it. That doesn't make sense because it's not a world championship. It's a Triple Crown championship. It's a tournament championship, and I think it matches the theme, but I can get what you mean. It's definitely unconventional. It's definitely unusual. And
I just don't like the crown in the middle. It's like there was a belt. I'm trying to think. Hold up. I'm looking at all my belts to see if I can get an example.
Oh, the crown? I mean, there's the UK championship. I think that had a crown on it.
Oh, no, not the crown. Okay, my belts don't really have it. But like, it's like this one thing that I don't like, that a lot of people don't like with it when it comes to belts. Say you put an image on it, but then there's just a lot of empty space.
Yeah.
That's what that is with that. Because it's just a crown, and then there's just like a lot of empty space on the side of it.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot of stuff on the outside of the title or the outside of that main crown design. Yeah, we got a new belt, though. It is debatable whether or not it's a good belt or anything. I think it's fine, but, it is definitely debatable. But to get to our main event, though, main event of the hour, a wonderful main event here. We got MJF versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. What a match. I thought this was a great way for MJF, whether he's leaving or not. I doubt it at this point, but however you look at it, it was a good way for him to get time off. It was a good way for him to get written off of TV. And Joe's the right guy. I mean, Joe's a good, intense heel, and he's the right guy to beat MJF. Good worker. They had an intense, hard to watch very brutal match, and it was intense. And I felt bad for MJF because he obviously has an injured shoulder. He has a bunch of injuries. I mean, there's a whole list of injuries with MJF right now, and he was taking some really bad bumps from Samoa Joe, and it was hard to watch. And you felt for the face. It was everything it should have been, man. It was brutal. It was intense. You felt bad for the baby face. You hated Joe because of just his brutality. It was a fantastic build. And I like the addition of the devil storyline being put in here, which of course the infamous reveal of Adam Cole. Samoa Joe beating MJF was like a moment where I kind of had to collect myself because I was like, wow, it's a moment where an era ended. The era of MJF ended. And it's just whenever something like that happens, whether it's when Roman gets beat eventually or Gunther gets beat eventually, it's just going to take you a minute to sort of get your breath, because you're just like,
when that happens,
wow,
when
the
that
era's
happens,
over.
oh my Lord above, that's going to be a freaking Nate Max.
My boy John Steele up in here. What's up, John?
Nate Max.
Of course, Nate Max is here. What's up? How you doing, John? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, that John knows about the AEW stuff too. They're all big supporters of it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5. Such an intense match. It was the most emotional, the most just heartfelt. I felt so bad for MJF. Everyone turned on him. Everyone. It was him versus the world, and he didn't win. But it was cool to see him fighting on the way down and to not give up. And it's crazy. That just goes to show that MJF is one of the best of all time because he can be that heel that you want to lose so badly, but then he can be that baby face that when he loses, it's really emotional and you get sad. You get really hit with it, it just hurts a lot.
Towards the end, he was a face. I don't care what anyone says. He was a face.
Of course, yeah. The minute Adam Cole came in, he became the baby face. Yep.
He became the baby face. And I will say this, and this was the only my bad issue, was the devil got kind of, I would say, spoiled. Because I think it was you who said it. You were like, oh yeah, it's Adam Cole. I'm like, oh, it is. I'm like, it's going to be Adam Cole because it just makes sense because Adam Cole always turns on everyone.
Yep. I called it not long before the show. I was like thinking, like, who could it be? Could it be this guy? Could it be that guy? Could it be Wardlow? And I'm like, well, Adam Cole is the manager right now. And I'm like, dude, it's got to be Adam Cole. And I noticed that when they showed the devil before attacking people or the henchmen, I'm like, there's a big guy, a medium guy, a smaller dude. I'm like, okay, one of those is Wardlow for sure. Yeah. And I'm like, it's got to be Adam Cole at this point, But it was still a fun reveal. I love those storylines in wrestling. I love it when we have a masked man who's mysterious, and I love it. I love solving the mystery. Yeah. I love the mystery, man. I love the reveal of the villain. This big dramatic reveal, and it was him all along. I mean, hell, we did that storyline, man. It was so fun.
Yeah, it felt so bad because bro was like, "Don't hit him, hit me, you motherfucker!" And he's just screaming at the devil's henchman. He's like, "Don't hit him, hit me!" And then the lights go out, and then Adam Cole's just sitting in the chair, and he's like, "But I get," and then he just gets bombarded with a fucking flying knee from Roderick Strong. That was an MMA knee.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, the dude's already injured. Now he's got to pick up his teeth from the mat because of you.
Bro, when we were watching it, your face, oh my God.
You murdered him.
I was like, oh my, I looked over and you were just like, oh my God, he's dead. He's dead.
It was horrible. I was like, after all that, you really got to hit him with that stiff-ass knee to the face.
Right?
It was so brutal, man, and it was one hell of a way to end the show, dude. It was pretty nasty knee, and
that knee, it's in my head.
Yeah, it was brutal, dude.
Why
Very,
was
very,
it?
very
It should
brutal.
have been a meme.
Give it time. Give it time. But yeah, that's World's End. What did you think about the show overall? I would give it a 7 out of 10, only because the very end of that pay per view saved it. Without that ending, without those last 3 or 4 matches, it would be horrible. It'd be a bad pay per view because there was a lot of multi man matches, didn't make sense, or they were terrible. You had Chris Jericho
Um,
being booed out of the building. You had
so
botches and all that. Well, what's your thoughts overall on the pay per view?
I'm gonna give it as a whole, and this is generous. It was just because those last couple matches of 5. No, not a 5. We're doing out of 5. I thought it was out of 10. Are we doing this out of 10?
Out of 10, yeah, for the total
Okay.
show rating.
Then yeah, a 5. I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So you're very split down the middle with this show.
It just there was some amazing stuff. Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland, MJF versus Samoa Joe, Eddie Kingston versus Mox. Those were the 3 things that if they were not on there, I would have probably gave this pay-per-view a 2.
Wow.
It just nothing clicked with me. The matches, yes, were good, but again, I've said this: if you don't have build, you don't have the storyline, you don't have the stuff that I'm looking for, you can have a 5-star match. I can just sit there and go, good match. Don't care for it because there was no build.
I mean, it's without storylines and build. I mean, those are very key ingredients to making a good match and making a good rivalry. And AEW is very much just, let's put these 2 wrestlers in there and say, like, oh, they're wrestling because they're world-class athletes and they were once in New Japan. I'm like, okay, there's no storyline. I don't care. Like, their reason is like, oh, they were once in Ring of Honor and this and that. And that one guy, the masked dude Excalibur, he's giving off all these stats. And I'm like, dude, all of that, while it is important to a degree, means nothing to this story. There's no story here. There's no reason for these guys to be fighting. There's no build. And I agree with you, man. I mean, 7 out of 10 is even kind of low for me because usually I give pay-per-views like 8s or 9s, sometimes 7s and 6s. Very rarely will it be anything below that. But it could have been better. It could have been better, but it was a great show. It was a fantastic show. It was still had its great moments. But
it had really good moments.
I agree with you, though. It could have been a 9 out of 10. It could have been better because of the lack of storylines, the lack of build to moments and everything.
Here's something that I'll say. If there was stories involved, if there was a lot of drama, this could have easily, I guarantee you, because a lot of the matches were good, but again, you know how I am. I'll sit there and I'll go, no build, no purpose. It's just a throwaway match. It could have easily been at least an 8 or a 9, even a 10 if the stories were there, but there wasn't. So it's a 5. It was just like, it just felt like just a built big dynamite. That's what it felt like, just a big dynamite or anything in between. And it sucked that it couldn't have been a little bit better. Like I said, wrestling was good. I'm not going to knock them for their wrestling because I've noticed this, and whether people want to admit it or not, if there's a war, whether you want to admit there's a war or not, AEW does better wrestling.
Oh,
flat out.
Yeah.
Better
Fantastic wrestling.
WWE does better storylines, emotion, hooking you and involving you. AEW is more of the wrestling, a hardcore type stuff. And that's what I think AEW needs to focus more on instead of trying to build storylines for your top belts, your women's belts, your world belt, and your mid-card belt. Everything else, slugfest, brawls, everything in between. That's what you guys need to go for because that's what they are. Bleed, everything in between. WWE, emotion, capture, this, that. Do what makes you WWE, AEW, do what makes AEW, AEW. And some people may really like that, some people may not. I'm not the biggest fan of blood with every match, blood in every show, cursing in every show. And just not a lot of build. But there's people out there that could care less. So if that's what AEW does, let AEW do that, and you build off that. Whereas WWE, you build off your storytelling, your market, your things that will get people talking. Like, oh my gosh, like whether I like it or not, because you've seen The Rock's back. The Rock's back. I don't give a flying one if The Rock's back because he does not look good.
Well, how do you feel about him? Like, how do you think he's gonna get number one contendership? Is he just gonna start beating people on Raw or SmackDown or whatever?
He ain't gonna be on Raw or SmackDown. What they need to do, and I was watching a podcast earlier, and I think it's still on.
Royal Rumble. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, it's not. It's not. How long did they go for? Because they were on for a minute. They went for 2 hours and 3 minutes. Good Lord.
Who?
This podcast, it has like a whole bunch of TikTokers that I follow a lot. A couple I didn't know. But I'm gonna play it so I know who I'm gonna mute it though, so we don't get copyrighted. But I want to see who's all in it. Okay, so there's Alex. There's the dude who I think you will probably see him in videos where he's like Jey Uso. He like talks like Jey Uso. He's like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
Big dude. I can't remember his name. He's a TikToker. I cannot remember his name, but he's a good one. I like him a lot. He's a big Dolph Ziggler mark. Nacho and another guy, and then the two other guys I don't know, but they were making good points. And one of them said, why not have, if they're going to do this with The Rock, why not have him face Roman at Chamber in Australia?
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, it's that WrestleMania moment, though. It's that they're definitely going to do it at WrestleMania. There's no stopping that.
I pray to God they don't.
Well, it's the moment. Like, it won't be as big if you do it at a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series, or if you do it at a Chamber or a Payback. But if you do it at like a WrestleMania, it's going to be like the biggest draw, biggest spectacle.
Yeah, which I understand, and I get like that's what they look with the business wise. But say, what up, Shrine Dog? Say they do it, MJF WWE. I freaking hope.
We'll see.
Say they do it though. Say they do Rock and Roman in Australia. Not only does that build the trust with them in Australia because they're like, well, we got The Rock. We weren't expecting this. And it shows that they want to keep going back to Australia with giving them The Rock and everything. We still get Cody versus Roman at Mania. We still get Punk and Seth at Mania. Mm-hmm. I personally think the smart decision would have, if Rock wins the Rumble, I'm going to be fuming.
You know what I was kind of wondering? You bringing up Seth and Punk made me think. Do you think that Seth will be the heel in the rivalry, or will Punk be the heel?
I think Seth.
Me too.
I think Seth's going to snap and they're going to turn on him, so he's going to turn heel.
Yeah, I think Seth's going to start just letting that evil side out, man, because of his hatred towards CM Punk.
Which would be a good thing, because then he can take some time off and then come back as a babyface again, or like just come back as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
But, if they are smart, do not let The Rock win the Rumble. Do not let Rock main event WrestleMania. If we're going to do this Roman Reigns thing, do it smart. If we really want Cody to win this belt off of Roman, it needs to be Rumble, Punk wins, challenges Seth, and then The Rock can come out and like have a face-to-face with Roman or something. Like Roman's having his match, and then Punk comes out, looks at him, then The Rock comes out, and then Cody can be standing at the ramp thinking, what do I got to do to get to one of these guys at this point now?
Mm.
Roman says he's not facing Rock at Mania. There's no point to face him at WrestleMania. And then The Rock goes, okay, you want to act like that? We can face that Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber happens. They have their match. It is what it is. Roman wins, obviously. And then Cody comes out and goes, this ain't over. And then they start their program again. And they start feuding. And then
How would you get Cody on the SmackDown, though?
they trade Jimmy to Raw.
Okay. Yeah,
they trade Jimmy to Raw because Jimmy is afraid that Roman's going to do something to trade him or something. Because if you remember Cody's promo, he said, the next time I see you, Roman, you'll be alone. That was
I didn't know he said that.
Yeah, it was a Raw after Mania. He said, the next time I see you, Roman, you'll be alone. There'll be no family. So what happens is Jay realizes, so Jay's on Raw. Jimmy starts to wake up. He goes to Raw. And then Solo is with Roman the whole time until that match. Or
maybe you could have Roman getting paranoid, treating Solo like trash, and then Solo just turns on him at WrestleMania.
Yep, he gets like they just bombard him. And Solo has enough, and Roman's like, the ref gets knocked down, and then Roman's like, Solo, and then Solo gets in and he grabs Cody, and he's gonna go to the spike, but then he hits Roman instead, and Roman's like, oh. And then the Usos could come out and like super kick Roman, and then Cody can finish the story finally, because that's the one thing I want. I want Cody to beat Roman, bro.
You think we're gonna get Jay versus Jimmy at WrestleMania?
Yes, I think
it's gonna. Oh, what a great match, dude!
That's gonna be a good. That's how I think it's gonna happen. I think Cody's gonna get traded to SmackDown. Jimmy's gonna get sent to Raw. So Roman's just gonna have Solo because Jimmy's not. Because him and Jay are going to feud. And then Jimmy and Jay are going to have their match. And then Jay's going to get to Jimmy. And then Jimmy's going to abandon Roman. So it just leaves Solo. And then Roman's just going to push Solo and just keep pushing him. He's like, you're supposed to be the successor to me. You're not living up to it. You're worse. You're this. You're that. To the point where Solo just goes nuts. And you don't know if Solo's with him. WrestleMania comes, Solo's out there with him. Cody's like, of course. And they're going back and forth. They're having a good match. Everything's going on. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, ref gets bumped. Referee's out. Roman like maybe grabs a chair or something. Cody disaster kicks him with the chair in the face. Hits like two crossroads, and then Solo gets in. And maybe Solo looks like he's going to stay with Roman because he gets in, he clothesline Cody, he starts beating up on Cody, and then Roman gets up and he's laughing, and Solo's going to hit him with the spike, but then Solo throws Cody and then hits Roman with the spike. And then he looks at Cody and he just says, finish the story. He leaves the ring. Cody gets up, hits him with three crossroads, pins him, and then he wins, and he wins the story. He gets the story finished. He wins the belt, and Roman can take time off or retire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be so much better than just having, we're gonna get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania because Vince wants it, and Vince will book whatever he wants.
Oh, I guarantee you, Vince is the one that threw that idea out there. But I mean, the fans too. I mean, the fans are gonna love it. The fans love Rock. He's got that ability for, I mean, he's the Rock. He's a legend, and I agree with you. It's a bit lazy that it happened,
It's not needed, for what we could get. Like if they do Rock and Roman, do it at Chamber, have the Rumble, if just don't let The Rock win the Rumble. That's all I don't want. If The
I
Rock,
was gonna say, how would you feel if The Rock won the Royal Rumble though?
it'd be pointless. Like, why? Why we get why? That could have been the Punk. That could have been LA Knight. That could have been anyone else, but yet you gave it to The Rock. Why? He's not.
And then, do you think he beat? What if he beat Roman though at WrestleMania?
Again, what would be the point of him beating Roman?
It's good business.
Shut up. You're no longer booking.
You know, it's gonna draw great numbers.
I don't care, Vince. Leave.
I know Vince is gonna be like, I want Rock to win.
Like,
well, too bad.
Like, what would it do? Like, if logically you think of it, what would it do for the business? What would it do for the store? Because then you're having Rock beat Roman when no one could touch him, and then The Rock just goes, "Oh, peace out later."
Yeah, basically.
Like, we don't need that. Like, that'd be a terrible booking decision. That
I
would
agree,
be
man.
if this happens. This will be the biggest fumble Triple H has ever booked. If he has The Rock, here are the three things that will make me kind of question Triple H with his decisions. Number one, if The Rock wins the Rumble. If The Rock wins the Rumble, red flag, something's up. Triple H, you should know better. Or if it's Vince, we're in trouble. Number two, if Rock doesn't win the Rumble, we don't get Rock and Roman at Chamber, yet we get Rock and him at Mania. That would be stupid. Will it sell? Yes. But if you're looking at it through a logical point, why on earth would you want Rock to take away from Cody, who has been working his rear end off? Who's everyone's been busting their rear ends off, and then The Rock just comes in and goes, "It's mine now."
What's up? How you doing, DJ?
DJ.
Yeah. We're doing well. How's your weekend been, man?
Number three. If The Rock beats Roman for the title. If Rock wins Rumble, Rock doesn't show up till Mania, and then Rock beats Roman, I'm going to be questioning a lot of things with Triple H.
Yeah, me too, man. I don't know. I think it'll still be a fun idea if Rock faces Roman and Roman beats The Rock. I mean, it's fun. It just that one little detail is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes doesn't need to get buried like that, you know?
And the fact that Cody is still over even after the WrestleMania loss shows a lot. Shows a lot. And
so
I just hope
you don't think like The Rock versus Roman Reigns would even happen at Mania? You think it'll happen at the Chamber?
I hope it does happen at Chamber. I hope they do the right thing and it happens at Chamber.
Who are some surprises for
DJ Fruit?
What is it?
My boy, DJ, the real DJ Fruit. He subscribed to my channel. Appreciate it.
Sweet. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it,
man. But who do you think is going to be some surprise Rumble entrants this upcoming Rumble?
Ooh, I was hoping you'd ask that. Ooh,
will MJF be in the Royal Rumble?
My heart says yes, but my brain says no, so I'm going to go with no.
Could EC3 pop up in the Rumble?
Ooh. Again, heart says yes, brain says no.
Kind of wondering, man. There's a lot of free agents out there right now. There's a lot of guys who have easy contracts that can get bought out. What?
Oh, Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona could show up. I think Sami Callihan's a free agent right now.
Brian Pillman Jr. is in NXT right now. His name's Lexus King.
You don't think Braun Breaker will be in the Royal Rumble?
Probably, and I'm going to hate it.
He's going to eliminate like 5 people, just letting you know that.
I know, and I'm like, Flaw. John's going to be the only one marking. John, if you're watching this,
yeah.
John Hannibal. Why are you a Braun Breaker, Mark?
Yeah. So who do you think's going to be winning the Rumbles, man? I got CM Punk, obviously, for the men's. For the women's, I got Bayley.
Bayley's the smart option. Oh man, So 4 surprises for both men and women. Who do you think will show up in the men's?
I got definitely Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes are going to be my top 2 NXT, surprises, and then I'm going to have EC3 and MJF be the other ones.
My top 4, and the 2 NXT, I can definitely see Breaker and I'm gonna say MJF, Carmelo Hayes. The 2 surprises, Andrade, because he didn't show up with the whole thing, and here's the interesting one in my opinion. If he's a free agent, I don't know if he's a free agent or not. Josh Alexander, the dude in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
The freaking dude who reminds me of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
I want him to be so freaking bad.
Yeah, he'd be cool.
Cody wins or women, Thunder Rosa. Oh, I didn't think about Thunder Rosa. Did
Thunder
you?
Rosa might pop up, yeah.
Is she a free agent soon?
For sure. It's confirmed though that Sasha Banks won't be there because I'm pretty sure she's signed with AEW now.
I haven't seen anything on that.
I don't know.
It said it was supposed to be Wednesday, and I don't think she showed up, did she?
No.
There's still a chance that Sasha could come back. AJ Lee can be in it. Jade Cargill.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprises that could happen there.
The women's is the most unpredictable one, in my opinion.
Yeah, because even though Bayley is the most logical, there's still going to be a lot of potential for other people to win the Rumble.
Exactly. It's not like cutthroat with the guys where it's like, oh yeah, it's Punk. It's
because the only other person I could see winning that Rumble is either Punk, Sammy, or LA Knight. I don't see anybody else having that. Yeah.
Yeah. Dummy.
Yeah. I definitely see one of those guys winning, but CM Punk is the most logical choice, and it's going to get a huge ass pop, like one of the biggest pops of all time.
That'd be his first Rumble win too.
Yep, it's they did it with Edge, where Edge came back and then he won the Rumble.
Yeah, that was 2010, I believe,
or
2011. Yeah, it was 2010 because he faced Jericho. No, was it 2011?
I don't remember. 2009, maybe.
It wasn't 9. I know that because I wasn't watching yet. It was
12.
It was 11.
Yeah, 11.
It had to be
wrestling 12.
It had to have been 11 because 25 was in 2000. Was 25 in 2010? When was WrestleMania 25?
WrestleMania 25 was 2009.
Then it was 2010. He won it because he headlined the next year's WrestleMania with Jericho, and that was in the Phoenix WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Underrated WrestleMania, in my opinion.
WrestleMania 26, great one.
It was so good, so good. And then 27 happened.
Ugh.
Makes me want to puke every time.
We were going to get into like the future of AEW. We're going to get into this whole big discussion about AEW, past, present, future, and everything. But we have been going for almost 2 hours now. And if we got into that, it'd be like 4 hours or something like that. So what we could do is we could call it a day with this one. And then the next one we do about AEW, we'll be discussing the past, the present, and the future, and talking about how we would fix AEW as a whole, our predictions of where AEW is going, and sort of talk about fantasy matches that we'd like to see, or not even fantasy, but just dream matches, just things that they could do, what we want to see from them. Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? We can get into all of that next time, because we do it now, man, we're going to be out here for 4 hours, man. And I ain't ready for a 4-hour stream, but yeah, if that's okay with you, it's up to you.
Oh yeah, you're good. We're good.
Yeah, but It has been fun though, man. We've had a great show. It's been awesome to come back here and do another wrestling stream with you. We got to make this a series and figure out what to call it because we do this a lot. So we got to call it something. It's going to be some kind of series.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestling debate or something. We'll call it something. But
yeah, and then we can do it on my channel too.
Yeah, we'll like hop back and forth. But anyways, man, I want to say thank you so much for being on here and discussing all this fun stuff. It's been a great time, and yeah, can't wait for the Rumble. Right now is a very unpredictable time. We don't know who's going to be in the Rumble. We don't know who's going to win. We don't know who's going to just show up, and it's very unpredictable. So
this WWE is very unpredictable, which I like.
Yeah, which is great, and we've been having some great Raws and SmackDowns recently, so it's all good with AEW, which is great. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching out there. Appreciate all you guys for showing up and commenting in the chat and hanging out with us. And big shout out to All Star Extreme Wrestling for all that they've done. It's been really fun doing that project. And there is a premiere of Pride or Pain, which is one of our big shows. I'm pretty sure it's done by now. It's not. Holy crap!
It's already had 18 views in 2 hours.
Nice. Yeah, so definitely go check out that. Go check out and support All Star Extreme Wrestling.
We hit 600 subscribers.
There we go. Live announcement there. 600 subscribers. That's awesome. Woo! Yeah, it's growing, and we've put a lot of effort into this season, guys. It was very, very difficult, but we pulled it off and we got it done and in the can, as they say, and we're ready to start uploading all of it. So, or we've already started it. We can't wait for you guys to see what we've done in the past year. It's been a long time of us filming, and there's a lot of good stuff there. But anyways, y'all, thank you guys again for watching. Thank you so much, Colton, for being here and discussing wrestling with me. As always, no problem, man. As always, it's been a blast and a fun time, and it's awesome to have you on here. So thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
You're absolutely welcome, man. But anyways, y'all, again, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. If you guys want to comment down below your guys' thoughts on the Rumble, who do you guys think is going to win? What's going to happen? Let us know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. And the Explorer of Horror is out. See you guys later. Bye.